Good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. I thought I would wear my old club top for this afternoon's video. And this afternoon's Celtic FC news video, I want to talk about Brendan Rodgers. Chris Sutton has put out a warning, and everybody going on about we need a new goalkeeper, and Chris Sutton has warned about replacing Joe Hart. So tell me what you think about that in the comments. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. And Brendan Rodgers is also, we're going to talk about him and the game last night. Brendan obviously said that he feels it's something special coming back to Celtic. It feels like home. He's been fortunate enough through his career to manage some fantastic big clubs. Must be Liverpool. And they've given nothing but feeling before, but the way that he felt here the first time, he thought that he would never feel that again. He's going to look forward to it. He's going to relish every single second of being back at Celtic, and going away made him realise that what he had when he was at Celtic, he was never sure if he would have that again in his football career. So being able to come back and enjoy on the pitch with the players and the staff, and obviously the supporters. But he says, but I need to prove myself, and we're all in agreement with that. He does need to prove himself to make sure that we just win. Clearly it means a lot to him that he got a good reception, but he says, Brendan Rodgers is going to try and make sure I get the club, the old Rafferty. Yeah, it still fits, lads, it still fits. His priority is to make sure that the people in the stands enjoy themselves, and the only way they're going to do that is by winning. He says he has to put together a team that will win, and the Celtic supporters have been amazing. He says they support their team, and I think that's what makes this team and makes them get behind the manager. We'll go for it together. From this weekend onwards, it is all about getting back to work, and it's important for us to all be together, says Brendan Rodgers. I think the build-up's been really well. The players didn't have a long break. Now, you remember the summer, especially the players that are playing international games, when even Callum McGregor and that, they only had like a couple of weeks off. The fact that they've came back and they've put in a lot of hard work, says Brendan. He says maybe at times they looked a little leggy, but that's because pre-season and the preparation. As it's gone on, they've looked sharper and brighter. Come Saturday when it matters, we will be ready, that is for sure. With another Premiership title ready to be unfurled, another flag being put up at Celtic Park. We'll obviously not have long to wait to see his first team, but with players coming back, it's looking really good for Celtic. But talking about players leaving and talking about players coming in, there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of people talking about Joe Hart. And a lot of people, and especially on this channel and the comments and that, have been talking about we need another keeper. We need another keeper for Europe. Last night's game and James Forrest's game, Joe Hart didn't even get on the pitch. And to be fair, Benji Siegrist could have maybe done better for the first goal, but it was an absolute screamer of a shot. Bain did actually okay the second half. There was a lot of people actually saying in the second half on the live last night that Bain might actually be our best keeper. No, he's not. One good game doesn't make Bain a good keeper. But the big man Chris Sutton has said, be careful what you wish for before replacing Joe Hart. He's a former international keeper. Forget the odd blunder that he's had and the odd blunder against Yokohama. You know, you have to think about what he's actually done for Celtic over the past couple of years. And he's been the goalkeeper that's been behind the sticks that's got us to 5 trophies. And you have to remember, years back, we've had other keepers that have came in and not done so well. He also says you have to look at Brendan's last club, where they got rid of Kasper Schmeichel, and then they went on to get relegated. So they brought in a keeper that they thought that was going to be better than Schmeichel, and he actually wasn't. So in all honesty, the man that is Chris Sutton went on to say, I wasn't sure about him when he came in, but he's been a really important player and part of Celtic's success. I wouldn't be in a hurry to get him out the door unless they get someone who is better. Now, we've all been talking about the big money transfer for the Croatian keeper. The Croatian keeper played absolutely brilliant in the World Cup towards the end of 2022, just in December there. But the fact that it hasn't happened yet, Chris Sutton, makes him think that it's not going to happen. Says if you were going to make a move for the keeper, you would have tried to get him. With only a year remaining in his contract, you would think that Celtic would have went out and tried to get the player in. So he goes on to say, Big Chris, he says, I wouldn't be in a hurry to get Joe Hart out the door. You know, and then he does reiterate the fact, Brendan let Schmeichel go at Leicester and brought in Ward, who was good with his feet, but Leicester ended up getting relegated. So with that being said, let's talk about the keepers in the comment section of the video. Tell me what you think that Celtic should do. We're all talking about having a better keeper for the Champions League. When you think about the experience that Joe Hart has over his career, and what you don't want to do is you want Joe Hart to kind of go stale, but I don't think he will, being the last year of his contract. Joe probably knows that this is his last year as a professional football player. I know Joe Hart will probably retire after this year if he's not given an extended contract by Celtic, which doesn't look like happening. If you think it was going to happen, it would have happened by now, especially with just having that year. There's more chance. We have said on this channel before, it would be a good addition to the backroom staff to keep Joe Hart, especially with all the experience he's got. Should Celtic go out and spend 8-9 million on a goalkeeper? Yes, I think that we should. The fact that he is 29-year-old, but he had a fantastic World Cup. Why is there not a load of teams lining up to take the keeper at that price? You have to ask that. So there's all sort of permutations. Fenerbahce was a done deal. That never happened. Joe's came back and he's had a point to prove. You know, he's had a phenomenal record. You've got to admire him for coming back coming to Celtic in the first place and taking on that challenge. He could have probably went to a club down south and got more money and seen out his career. But the fact that he's seen it, and people forget about this. I mean, Joe Hart was probably, you know, he wasn't going to get a big team down south. He could have easily went down the leagues and played on. But he's seen the challenge of getting into the Champions League. And I think this year we're going to be a bit more defensive minded in the Champions League, which should help Joe out. He did make a cracking save at the weekend to show that he's still got it in him. You know, so take the challenge for this year, and then going forward, we do need to get a decent keeper in, because let's face it, the two guys that are there, Bain's been there a long time. Benji Siegrist hasn't really had a chance. Is Benji Siegrist the type of player that will improve under Brendan Rodgers and maybe get a run in the team? You don't know. It's probably the most difficult position to play in football is in goals, and especially for a team like Celtic, because once you get a good keeper in, it tends to keep the other guys out, and that's what Joe Hart has definitely done over the last 2 years. I mean, it's well documented that we give Bain an extended contract. That can only be for the fact that he adds to the Scottish contingent. For me, I would have probably let Bain go. He's at that stage of his career where personally I thought he needs to go and play more, but he's basically collected wages for Celtic for the last few years for absolutely nothing. So tell me your thoughts in the comments. We will go live tonight at 6 PM UK time. We can have a good old chat about the game last night. We can have a chat about the transfer market. We can have a chat about what you think the team might be. This will be the last live before the live on Friday evening. The live on Friday evening will be the big one. It will be before the season starts, where we'll have our predictions on the team. Have our predictions on the team for the weekend. And it's exciting. Football's back. It is back. It's back to the real stuff this weekend. So on that note, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party.